Welcome. Glad everybody's here. Appreciate y'all coming. Um, Thanks for Adam getting everybody together. Excited about the class. Very proud of our staff, the work they were able to do in a really a rather short amount of time. Basically had 4 weeks of live recruiting that we could go out and chase this class, and really proud not only of our full-time staff, but I think Todd Watson, who's our high school relations and director of ops, did a great job once guys got on campus. Trey Dunbar, who's our assistant director of player personnel, got his first taste of getting on the road. Thought he did a nice job, really helped us establish some relationships with these guys. And then our compliance department also did a good job getting everybody in today. I think by the numbers, you signed 22. You've got them right in front of you. 3 scholarships rolled over from the previous year from the previous staff. 14 of those are on defense. Big emphasis on defense in this class for a couple different reasons. Our numbers are down on that side of the ball, and also we needed some guys that could help us in special teams. If you look at it, we had 4 D linemen, two defensive ends, one of them a bandit position, two defensive tackles, 4 linebackers, and then 6 guys in the secondary. Again, huge emphasis on the secondary, not only at corner but at the safety position also. We signed 7 offensive guys, 4 O-line, offensive line. Biggest emphasis on that side of the ball. We'll talk about these guys in general. 2 wideouts, a quarterback, and then one guy that's an athlete, the Peyton Carter from New Brockton. 18 high school guys. I think that's important. Wanted to establish a foundation. Really excited about the 3 junior college guys we signed and the 4-year transfer. But 18 high school kids were important in this class. We needed to develop a foundation. 9 guys from the state of Alabama wanted to get back in this state. We've done a really good job over the past 6-7 weeks of reconnecting and reestablishing some relationships with Alabama high school coaches. We signed 5 guys from Georgia, 3 guys from Mississippi, 2 from Florida, South Carolina, and Louisiana. Emphasis, character, academics, and then obviously the ability to help us win games. And with that, I'll open up to questions and talk about any kids that we have. Do we have all 5 of our midterm signees here? We got 5 midterm, the 4. There's 4 or 5. I'm 5. That's all right. 5 midterm signees are here. Excited about those guys. I'll talk in detail about them since they're here. 2 linebackers, dynamic duo, William Lloyd, Justin Lucas. 2 guys that won national championships with East Mississippi. 2 guys, 2-year starters there. Really excited about those guys. Their ability, not only on the football field, but their ability to lead. Their characters already making impact on our team. Gardner Minshew, really excited about from Brandon, Mississippi. One of the all-time passing leaders in Mississippi high school football. He's here on campus. Jalen Roundtree, originally from Warner Robins, a corner. Via Coffeyville Community College, was first team all-league in that conference. Will be able to come in and compete immediately. And then adding LaMarcus Farmer, originally from Pensacola, Florida, previously at UAB, guy that has 3-year starting experience. With that, I'll open up for questions.
How important is it to get local guys? You've got a couple of guys from Carver, Brantley, and there's a lot of local
Yeah, there's.
people in this list. How important is that?
Well, I think it's really important. I think the section of 231 from Dothan to Montgomery and all the little towns in between, I think that's our base area. And I think we did a pretty good job in a relative short amount of time. And I think that's something that we'll really focus on from 2016 and then going forward. But we definitely want guys, we understand that not only are those guys the heart and soul of who we want to be, but they'll bring seats. I mean, they'll bring fans and put them in the seats.
How unique is it to get a pair of brothers, I guess they're twins, right?
Sure.
Twins, and you contribute on both sides of the line like that.
Yeah, first of all, good size. I think, and should have probably talked about this at the beginning. Length was something that was really important to us in this class. I think if you go through our lineup here, you'll see a lot of length at different positions. The Kemp brothers from Greene County, huge pickups for us. Beat several schools within our conference on those guys. Damian, the offensive lineman, a lot of size, length. He'll be a tackle for us. Guy that I think down the road could be one of the premier tackles in our league. I think he's just now scratching the surface of who he can be. Then Damon Kemp, one of the better defensive tackles that we watched on film. You know, in one of our first conversations, Coach Koning, back before he even said yes to coming here, he was a guy that he said, "Hey, you need to get on this. This is a guy that you definitely need to look at."
Can you just speak to the transition to, you didn't have an entire offseason, but you did have longer than a lot of guys like Harbaugh, for instance.
Mhm.
Can you just speak to the struggle of that? And
Well, I think the hardest thing is the recruiting calendar sped up so much now. And what I mean by that is most of your guys are committing sometime from April through the summer. And not a ton of guys keep their recruiting open into the season now because the way things happen and offers come out sooner. So a lot of the guys on our list were previously committed. And that's that's really hard. Once somebody makes a decision, it's really hard to flip those guys. And we were able to do that in several cases. And I really credit our assistant coaches for getting in and developing those relationships because you really got to work not only the student athlete but the high school coach, the parent, or whoever that champion is in that process. You got to work them to be able to get in, establish that relationship, and make somebody change their mind.
This is where you put Peyton Carter in. We brought this up. He was usually a town producing Division I talent. Where do you think Peyton Carter will fit in? What did y'all love about him?
Well, I think he's an athlete. I think he can play on either side of the ball. Played quarterback in high school, played some defensive back. Also a very good basketball player. Had a big win last night in the area game. His athleticism was the first thing that really jumps out to you. Then his length. He was a guy that had 80-inch arm span of 80 inches. That's bigger than a lot of offensive linemen. A lot of offensive linemen that we even recruited at Kentucky. So I think his just overall athleticism, his length, his versatility to play on either side of the ball.
Do you think because his dad is 6'8" that he's going to be able to grow even a few more inches before he arrives here?
Well, maybe. No, it's obviously he's got some genetics that we're excited about for sure. I think he's a guy that I don't know if he'll get any taller or longer, but he's going to be able to put on good weight. He's got a great frame.
Who really hasn't gotten as many players out of Montgomery over the years? You get 3 in this class. In the past, the emphasis necessarily on Troy,
Mhm.
not necessarily the talent in Montgomery or the grades in Montgomery or the interest in Montgomery. What went into that and what did you do?
Well, I think a couple of reasons. I think a lot of credit's got to go to Coach Pogue and Coach Wasden. Both of those guys did a tremendous job. You got to remember this is the first recruiting cycle that Coach Pogue's been a part of, and when he rejoined us in January, got to work. Obviously, he's got some deep roots within that city, going to school there, being a high school coach at several different places. That's an area that we've got to hit, and we've got to hit hard. And it's an area that we need to get as many guys out of as possible. Really excited about the 3. Starting with Uvakius McGee, big pickup for us today. Guy that can play Coach Koning's bandit position. Not only he's got the length and athleticism to drop back in coverage, but we think he can be the next in a long line of defensive linemen that we've had here at Troy University. And then Melvin Tyus, a guy that I thought really came on his senior season. Big difference. He was a good player as a junior, really turned into a very good player as a senior, and showed some explosiveness coming down from his safety position, making some big hits. And then Ishmael Salim, a guy that I think is very, very similar to Chandler Worthy, who had a great career here. Guy that can immediately come in and give us an opportunity, or will help us in the return game. In the punt return game and the kickoff return game, and then a guy that can really run well. I expect him, and I know he does too, to have a really successful track season.
I want to know if your coaches in going out and recruiting, did they pick up the sense that as a football team and as an institution that our brand is increasing, that there was some excitement being generated? Did they pick up on that with the high school coaches and whatnot?
Yeah, I think, and if you look at the number, and I think the biggest indicator of that is we had a really high success rate on guys we brought on campus. From the guys we brought on official visits starting in January, we had a really high percentage of guys that signed with us. So I think that number one, we're doing a good job developing relationships. Number two, people are excited about what we have going. And I think in this class it shows, but I think when it'll really show the energy, the positive momentum we have in our program is heading into spring recruiting and then on to our 2016 class.
Scenarios where is it really true that he's got a 4.3 or sub 4.34 in yard dash?
I didn't time it, but he's a guy that Coach Koenig really got on coming out of the he played in the Shrine Bowl, right, Vic? Yeah, coming out of the Shrine Bowl. Guy that coached in that game that Coach Koenig really respects, called him and said, hey, this kid is if not the best player, one of the best players in this game. From that point forward, we were able to get he and his mom on a visit. And I really liked it. But like I said, I got to give a lot of credit to Coach Koenig for a guy that we think is one of the hidden gems in this class.
Will he also be considered for the return game?
Well, I think he can really run, and we'll give him an opportunity. He's a guy that, without a question, will be able to help us on special teams immediately, if not in the return game, somewhere.
You talked about a little bit in terms of recruiting length and size. You look up and down this list, a lot of 6'5", 6'4", 6'6". Is that an emphasis for you?
Yeah, no question. I think this is a game of length. People want to talk about speed, and speed, we'll take all the speed we can get. But I think now, in today's game, I think length's the number one thing. I really do. And that was something that was a point of emphasis in this class, and it'll be a point of emphasis going, really excited about adding Richard Hallman from Hillgrove High School, 6'4" wideout. I think a guy from right here in Alabama that has tremendous length that I think's got a humongous upside is A.J. Smiley from Spain Park High School. Played for a guy that I really respect, Sean Rainey. There's another guy, Antoine Barker from Pensacola, that played for Coach Seibert down there that has tremendous length. I think he's going to add some positive body weight. But length was an emphasis in this class and it will continue to be.
Is that because of the development of these spread offenses that everybody's operating in such wide open spaces?
Well, I think that may. I just think it's kind of football is kind of it kind of goes in spurts, and everybody was really looking for speed and speed over size, and I think now size maybe a little bit more emphasis on size and length maybe than speed right now. And if you can get both, you'll take it. Anybody else? I was going to make a couple other notes on some guys talking. Zach Brannert is a kid that definitely fits that size. From Buckhorn High School, in-state kid. He's got some length. He also has some girth. He'll be an inside offensive lineman for us. We were able to hold off an ACC school and win that coming down the stretch. Tron Folsom, kid from Bacon County, Georgia. Probably is impressed with a live evaluation of him as anybody in this class. Had one of the more impressive dunks that I've seen in high school basketball. Kurt Kelly, I think, was a big pickup for us. John Summerall is going to recruit the city of New Orleans for us. I think Louisiana is an area that we can get in and have some success that maybe we haven't hit in previous years. So Kurt Kelly, a guy that's really athletic in that tackle position, pitcher, left-handed pitcher in baseball. So anytime you have that type of athleticism and can come over and play the offensive line, that's important. Juwan McDowell from UMS Wright. Again, Mobile area kid. Mobile is going to be really a point of emphasis for us moving forward. Played for Coach Curtis, one of the legends in high school football in the state of Alabama. Great kid, great character, really good student. Is a guy that'll play a lot here. James Peach from Bruton, Alabama. He's a guy that we beat several, and one of the kids that we were able to flip late in the process. Really excited about him. Trayvon Sanders, another guy that's kind of diamond in the rough. Again, played in one of the All-Star games over there. Played extremely well. Was able to see some video of him in that setting. He's a guy that interior defensive line guy that has a lot of size. I know from having an offensive background, those guys are really hard to move. He's a guy that really eats up some double teams inside. Those are just some guys that I think that maybe weren't brought up here that I think that can be a big factor for us moving forward. Yes, sir.
I know overall you won't know until you get them here, but
Yeah.
overall you feel like you filled your needs.
Well, I think, and that's another thing. I think moving forward, we've got some spaces that we may be able to fill. We coming in, I thought number one we had to get some numbers back on defense. Linebacker, secondary in particular, because those are the guys that you play a lot with on special teams, and we were playing with a lot of in last year we were playing with a lot of offensive guys, receivers, running backs on those cover teams, on your punt team and on your kickoff team. So I felt like we really needed to add some defensive players to help us in that area, and then also give us some guys that could compete for us on defense as well. Then offensively, we're down on the offensive line numbers, and so to add 4, yes. And we've got some leeway to add some guys potentially down the road, later in the spring and over the summer.
First of all, it was a welcome change to have a head coach that really wanted to sign up, especially an offensive head coach that really wanted to sign a bunch of defensive guys. That was super exciting, and that was the first indication that he understands and he wants us to be successful. And that was just a really shot in the arm. And the other thing I think that happened with staff is there's a lot of crossover, and what y'all don't realize, that it isn't just one coach that recruits a guy. There may be one coach comes through the area, and then the next week another coach, and there was a heck of a lot of crossover, and I think we all worked really well together. And that all comes down from the head coach, and there was offensive coaches and defensive coaches that crossed each other and really helped out. And I thought that was a really neat deal. I haven't been around this game a while. That isn't always the case, and again, that was really a positive thing. Apologize if I could put reading glasses on. That sometimes happens when you get a little older. But just going down the list, defensive guys, Antoine Barker. DeMarcus Ware was about Antoine's size coming out of high school, and I'm not trying to put that on him. But he's got really good skills, and I think he'll continue to improve every day. Obviously, Pensacola should be a home area for us. Just going down the list, you saw LaMarcus. Katron Folsom, or Tron Folsom, is a young man that I saw last spring when going through spring recruiting, and really intrigued me. And when I was able to kind of get some of his film, when I realized this deal was going to come through here, we got on and we realized he was really a good player. And the more film we watched, the better player he became. He was a young man that last year ran a 10.8, 100 meters, and he's going to scare 6'2", and he was 196 pounds, I believe, on his visit. So, again, he's got really, 10.8 for a safety for a kid that's that size is not bad, and he's got great ball skills. Again, going down the list, Coach talked about Damon Kemp. Damon is going to be a 3 technique, and I really expect him to be a guy that comes in and plays next year. Matter of fact, all the defensive guys should have a great chance to play for us next year. You saw William and John. When Coach talked about the leadership that they're providing already, I can't say that strong enough, that they're really doing a good job. You can tell they came from a winning program, and they know how to win. They know how to work. Jawan McDowell, young man out of Mobile, UMS Wright. Terry Curtis been the coach there for a long time. And he's a track guy, but he's also a good football player. And I was shocked to see 5'10". When you see him in person, he looks tall. He looks taller than that. Next guy, Uvacius McGee, or Vok. He was the guy. Coach Pogue did just a fantastic job of staying with him. We all kind of teamed up on him this last week, but Coach Pogue kept on him with persistence. And anyway, was able to get him in this weekend, and he fell in love with the place, and he realized what kind of people we have here. And I think it was the people of Troy that made the difference with him. He's going to be a guy that everybody's going to be wondering where he is on third downs. I know Al already got a little deal going about him being the 11th hour because he's wanting to wear number 11. So we'll see how that plays out. I'm confident it will. Okay, Sedarius Rookard, Coach talked about him a little bit. I actually had him in camp last year. He was a guy that I did not think would be available. I thought he was an ACC, SEC guy, and as it turned out, you make a phone call and find out you got a chance. And he and I kind of hit it off in camp last year, and so he walks in the room now. his shoulders, and he doesn't really have a neck. He just got shoulders that keep on going. And I don't know about the 4.2 whatever. That's what he ran in the Shrine Bowl Combine. But you watch his film, and he shows really good speed, and he's got a knack for return game. And he asked me one question on his visit, if he could be on special team. And I don't think there's many of them that are going to do that. But you met Jalen right there, and Doug Salter. Now, Doug is what you look in the dictionary and you see linebacker. That's what you see, Doug Salter. He's built like a linebacker. He should be a guy inside for years to come here that makes it hard to run the ball. Trayvon Sanders. Now, Trayvon, y'all will may not recognize his name, but when I was at Clemson, we signed a guy named Brandon Thompson from Thomasville, Georgia, and he went to Clemson and played 4 years. I believe he's with the Bengals right now, and they're extremely similar. And character-wise, both good people. And Trayvon's got a personality that just keeps going and going and going. He's going to be a great leader for us. He's at a magnet school in Charleston, great academics. A.J. Smiley. He's a hybrid. And when y'all wonder about the term hybrid, he is truly one of those guys. We really don't know what he's going to end up being. He's so tall, so long, so rangy, has a great knack for the football, and he's not scared. And then Melvin Tyus. Melvin's going to be a guy that's going to be a great leader for us in the back end. I think he's going to be the safety that possesses the really good man-to-man skills. So, anyway, that rounds out the defense, and answer any questions y'all have.
Briefly, what is the Bandits?
It's the other team's worst nightmare. He steals the hopes and dreams of the other team's quarterbacks. When I was at Wyoming, we were trying to come up with some cool names for the outside linebacker deal, and at that time, you're out there in the Wild West, and it truly is the Wild West out there, and we just kind of used the term bandit, and it kind of stuck, and I came to find out that Danny Ford had used that term, and I wasn't the first one, which is the way a lot of stuff is. But anyway, we just kind of kept that term. It's kind of a hybrid guy. You want your speed and the weak side defensive end, I don't know. It sounds cool, bandit, So, anyway. Yeah, and yes, sir.
Thoughts on the shift to size over speed on defense and how that works in your defense?
Well, if you can't get to the ball carrier, then it doesn't matter how big you are. So it is still, and I think Coach answered the question in a reference that maybe wasn't what he may have meant. Speed is still one of the most important things, but as you start looking at teams now, some teams are going back to having some big guys. So we're going to have some big guys. You go play Wisconsin, you're going to want some big guys. NC State, our first game, they're going to put 3 tight ends and a fullback in there. So you're going to have to – you can't play with just a bunch of DBs. And I think having length and guys that can separate are kind of what I heard Coach talking about. Speed is still paramount, but it's the size part of it is kind of coming back in full circle. So I hope I answered your question. Yes, sir.
So looking at some of the high schools that these players come from, do I have it right that the coaching staff is really looking at not just recruiting the player, but recruiting kids from excellent programs, which some of these are, because they're going to have those kids off in a better way than some other schools?
Well, that's very astute from you. I know Coach touched on it. He went through today the academic prowess of most of these guys, and y'all can't imagine. I mean, I've got 3 sons, and I hope that they end up with the kind of grades these guys have. And Danny Ford, the old coach at Clemson that I happened to have a chance to run into a couple of times when I was there, he had a saying that he wouldn't sign a guy that came from a losing program. He wanted guys that came from winning programs for just the reason you said that. Now, there are exceptions, obviously, but those guys typically know how to work. They know what's expected. You're not going to have a bunch of mess out of them. They're going to do things right. You're not going to be having to chase them to class, chase them to workout, chase them to this. And after a while, if you can start coaching football instead of, being a policeman all the time. And I think that goes a long way. And then the leadership skills are off the chain with some of these guys. The ability to lead that some of these guys are going to have. And then I think everybody understands how important it is to be able to communicate. Some people is just yes, sir, no, sir, yes, sir, no, sir. Somewhere down the road, you got to communicate, coach, I'm getting blocked like this, or coach, I need an extra tutor here or there. And just the ability to coexist is going to be hugely important, and that's a great question. That it? We all good? Again, appreciate it.
How y'all doing today? I want to talk a little bit about these offensive linemen that we signed today. Very excited about this class. Very excited. We ended up signing 4 offensive linemen. And like Coach Brown said, really looking for that length, really looking for the guys that can get that separation, that have a chance to play the tackle spot. As you see, all the guys we signed were 6'4" and better. All right, that's what we're looking for when we're looking for athletes. As you'll see, a lot of the guys we signed are guys that play other sports, baseball, basketball. All right, and the other thing they have in common is good students, and last is they come from programs who are winning programs, all right? Winning programs, or they've turned them around over the past 2 years. Those are the things that we look for in offensive linemen. I'll talk about these guys. First of all, James Peach out of Bruton, Alabama, 6'6", 280-pound kid, was a highly recruited kid. Had to flip him late from a school in the Conference USA that we had to really stay on him and get him turned up. Like we were a little late on him. He committed early, but really like what he does. He's very athletic. He's long. He's got a lot of room to grow. He's a great student, a very hard worker, and like Coach said, he comes from a program in T.R. Miller. They know how to win there. They know how to work. They know how to do the little things right. They know how to do the little things off the field. So we're really excited about him. He was the first guy we went after. As soon as I got the job and I pulled into town, Coach Brown and I talked, and we said, we got to go to Bruton, Alabama. We can't let this kid leave 2 hours from us and go somewhere else and go to school and not come to Troy. So we worked really hard, and it was a tough deal, but we stayed with it and built a really good relationship. I'm glad we got him. Next is Kurt Kelly. Kurt Kelly's a kid from John Ehret High School down in New Orleans, Marrero, Louisiana, and he's kind of a diamond in the rough guy. He's a baseball player, so he played baseball all summer. Never went to any camps, so he kind of was. You don't go to those camps all summer. You kind of stay hidden down there. So he's a baseball player, left-handed pitcher. I was on him a little bit at the school I was at before, but we really came on him hard when we got here. Got his mom Tiffany and his grandmother up on a visit, and it really worked out well. Got a great test score. Again, he's a smart kid, and he's a kid that came into a program and turned it around. They weren't very good 2 years ago. He knows what it's like to build something. He knows what it's like to rebuild something. That's what we're trying to do here, is rebuild that wall. Really excited about Kurt. The next is Zach Brenner, kid from Buckhorn High School, big kid, 6'4", 335 pounds, very athletic, very good feet. We're expecting him to be a big physical presence inside. All right, he can play center because he's a smart guy. He can snap, got huge hands, can play guard, got good feet. He really eats up a lot of space, and he can really be that physical presence for us inside. Really awesome family. With his mom and dad, Paul and Philip, came to visit. Really good family, good people. The way I got on him was went and worked the Alabama camp last year. All right, and this kid's out there, and we're doing one-on-one pass pro with all these big-time people from all over the nation. You know, they're everywhere. And I see this kid, and nobody knows who he is, and he just keeps running up there to the line and jumping in front of people and fighting his way to compete. I think he went 30 reps that day versus the best, and he didn't win them all, but he was competing. And he's a big kid, and he's physical, and he wants to compete, and that's what we're looking for. The last but not least is Damian Kemp. And he is, when you look up an offensive tackle, a left tackle, in the dictionary, you're going to see a picture of this kid. He's long, he's athletic, he can move, he's got a great motor, goes up and down the field. I mean, the fact that we got he and his brother out of Georgia is a huge gift for us. Really excited about those two kids coming in. And, you know, we keep our motto here, our slogan here is rebuild the wall, right? We want to rebuild the wall. Well, you got to have foundation blocks to rebuild the wall, and that's what this group of O-linemen are. They're the blocks at the bottom of the wall that are going to hold everything else. So we're really excited about these guys. Any questions?
I guess it's gonna be a tall wall.
It's going to be a tall wall. That's what you want, a tall wall.
I'm going to talk about the offensive skill guys. I'm going to start, usually go alphabetically, but I'm going to start at the bottom with Ishmael Salim. He was the first guy. He came to camp this summer. Coach Pogue had recruited him. Coach Waz and I got a chance to work with him. And he was a guy that we were looking for speed. You know, Coach talked a little bit about length. The other guys we signed had great length, but Ishmael had great speed. And we thought he was a guy who could come in and play real early. Heard Coach talk to him. It resembles a lot of Chandler Worthy in the return game. So we think he can come in immediately and help us right away. From there, you heard Gardner Minshew talk a little bit earlier. We had one sophomore quarterback coming back and 3 seniors, and we really felt like we had to find a young quarterback that could come in and compete and have a chance to play. Was able to watch him. We met him this summer, was able to watch him this spring, was able to get over here this summer, and then watch him play this fall and really liked him. And as Coach Brown got here, he was one of the first guys he got a chance to go meet, really liked him, thought he was a great fit. 31 ACT guy, highly intelligent, threw for almost 12,000 yards, was a 3-year All-State player in Mississippi. As a junior, played in the state championship game, got beat in the semifinals this year, but led his team, won the All-Star game right before he got here, and he was a mid-year grad. So, you know, we really felt like we couldn't go wrong with Gardner. He's doing a great job right now with the team, too, so I think he's going to be a good fit. From there, the 2 length guys that we got at wideout, we felt like we had some good wideouts, but we really need to get some length. Richard Hallman from Hillgrove High School was a really long guy, 6'4" guy. He can really sink his hips. We felt like he could play on the outside, stretch the field, but also has a small guy's ball skills. So we really felt good about him. He also was a 2-year all-region player out of Georgia. We were able to beat a few schools on him. We're excited about that. And then the last one Coach talked about was Peyton Carter down at New Brockton. One of the best-looking kids we brought on campus, has a great personality, was an option quarterback, which really on film you could see that he could really stick his foot in the ground, make people miss, and we felt like he would be a great transition, either as an inside or outside receiver, just a real good skill set. Also might be a guy that can do some wildcat things for you because he has played some quarterback. Any questions?
One thing he mentioned to me when I talked to him was that he thinks that his size is going to allow him to be able to be a good blocker on the outside. Do you see that in Peyton Carter?
Oh, for sure. He's a physical runner. He was also a free safety, so you can see him come up and make lots of tackles. So I feel like he'll be a very physical blocker, and that's really good on the perimeter. When you get 3 or 4 guys blocking, it really helps in the run game.